Do you know, the last time I did Friday sews was 1 year ago. Don't worry, I'm not going to catch you up with a whole year's worth of sewing and life, but this is what I've been up to lately, and I thought I'd show you. I will start off with my latest make, which is literally finished about an hour ago, and that is the I Am Patterns Hathor vest. So it's the I Am Hathor. I bought this fabric many months ago. I can't even remember when it was. It was from Croft Mill in the UK, and it's a quilted fabric, and it's very furry and fluffy on the other side. So the pattern calls for a lined vest, but I thought, well, as this has already got the fluffiness on the inside, I won't need to line it. It caused dramas because it's like someone had murdered the Muppets, because there was just fur absolutely everywhere, and I knew this was going to be the case with this kind of fabric, but it was also a little bit tricky to work with. Let me just put it on so you can see. So I chose, let me just, hang on, so I'll just step back here. It's probably not the most flattering camera angle, but there we go. So quilted vest, I had it printed out a while ago, and I reprinted a bigger size because I wanted to be able to do this up, which I'll come to in a moment because there's a bit of a problem with that. So I could actually put it over a sweatshirt, because obviously if you just have something like this over a t-shirt, you're gonna have cold arms. So I know that's always like the case, but it's all about layering. I just found a bit of glue on my arm. Where on earth is that from? Who knows? So yeah, so this is plenty big enough to go over a sweatshirt or like a blouse or something, you know, like I've got a lot of room in there. So I feel it's more wearing outside of the house than wearing inside of the house, but it is so cozy because of all the fluffiness. But the fluffiness also caused issues. So you can have this, I'll link the pattern down below in the description box, but I'll also show you the various variations you can have. So you can have it with a hood, without a hood. There's different kind of, I originally printed the front, which had, I think, the hood, so it finished wrong, so I had to reprint the front panel in the right finish so I could get this collar on, but you don't have to put the collar on. I thought if I'm wearing this outside it would be better, and also as it's sort of self-lined, I thought if I don't have the collar, how am I going to finish all that off, which I'll come to as well. So this is how here, so front, back, there were pockets, and I have, where are we? I did cut them out. I only had a metre of this fabric, so I was quite limited in what I could do. So I did have, I've been practicing snaps on there, so just ignore that. So I did cut 2 pieces out, and then I folded one over, and that's a bit messy because it was so bulky, because you've got the top layer, you've got that sort of wadding, and then the furry bit. If you were to rip this off, it would undo all the stitching on the outside, so because it's stitched right through the layers, so you can't really separate it if you want to keep that quilting. So I tried putting a bit of contrast, like bias binding on there. Then I thought it doesn't really look that neat there, and by the time you've like folded over, I thought sometimes patch pockets, you can do welt pockets, but couldn't be bothered with that. I've only done them once before, which is on another make, which I'll show you. Patch pockets can be a bit funny, and then I realised, oh, probably the wrong angle, that I hadn't considered pattern matching. So I was able to potentially pattern match on one side, but the other pocket wouldn't, and then to make sure they were in the right distance from each other, the pattern matching wouldn't match up. And I just thought it will be an eyesore. That'll be the first thing somebody sees, is that you've got these pockets, but I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I thought they would just look really off if they weren't in the right way and didn't match up, and then that pocket didn't. I think if you have them, say 45-degree angle, and they're both like that, then it's fine. It looked really odd, and because I could literally only cut this out in one sort of angle or size, just because that's all the fabric I had. I literally had enough to cut 2 pockets and no more. There was like a little bit, there was maybe a couple of inches around it which I had to play with, but there wasn't that much fabric, so it was quite tight, so I didn't bother. So it is a bit of a, you know, this is a shame because I want to go and put my hand in a pocket. So the other thing I did was I made bias binding. So I had very small offcuts, so I cut loads and loads of strips, and then joined them together. And so I ripped off, so like I said before, but I actually ripped off all the wadding and the furriness, whatever you want to call it. So it did take all the stitching off, but you have got the imprint of where that stitching was. So here, so I just did a very hodgepodge kind of bias binding. I'll take it off so you can see. So I did bias binding all on the armhole and on this one as well. And then I went, because of the collar, I thought this bit was supposed to be, you put the lining in, then sort of sandwich and turn it over. But as I wasn't adding a lining, this was a raw edge, so I had to finish that off before I put the collar on. I hope you keep it up because it can be a bit confusing. So I moved my bias binding, I went all the way down around the bottom and then right up the other side. So I had to cut quite a lot of strips. It was a little bit tedious. And I do have a bias binding manual maker that you can pull it through and then iron, but then it was melting the fabric because it was obviously like a polyester. So I didn't bother, so I just freehanded it and I put like one little clip on first, and then I just stretched it and pulled it as I went. I didn't pin it or clip it all in place, it was quicker, and I didn't have that many clips to go all the way around and then up and down and everything else. So I just did it like freehand and it was fine. Just folded it over, then folded it over again. And then on the so this is like the inside. So I found that I was quite pleased. That came out quite neat and I finished it off. But this bit here was raw edged and I didn't know what to do with it. And so I did the bias binding around the bottom, which still left this bit here. So I used my shop bot bias, pinched it and then just sewed it within the seam allowance. So hopefully, yeah, there's no stitching where I've like top stitched it or anything else. I could have overlooked it, but I thought it looked more blended in better by just putting the shop bought bias on those bits there. But it was all my bias, which went on there and there. And then where the shoulder seams meet, I'm showing you all the messy bits, by the way. So I put some on here where the shoulder seams were, but again, I couldn't stitch it down, so I've literally just anchored it at either end. Not perfect, but, and the collar was so bulky. There was a couple of places I had to like unpick when I was like folding it over. And then I found I had a bit of a raw edge, which was right near so on this side here. So what I did was I just got some bias binding and just sort of hand sewed it on, because you could see the white wadding like stitching out, but then I didn't want to end up with a stitch line along the back there. So I think it works fine. I mean, it's going to be on anyway. But the other thing is the pain of the snaps, because so it said like 10mm snaps. So I've got these, which are hemline ones. They're like 11mm, I think. So that's on the inside there. That's all very good. Hang on, let me just find, where's the other pocket gone? Ah, I can never find nothing when I want it. I had the other pocket just to show you how it snaps together, because the trouble is it won't snap together. So I put all these on there, which is the underneath, and I've had to hammer them about 3 times. That one goes. That one barely, it doesn't pop. That's barely, there we go. I've had to hammer these 4 or 5 times after they've been inserted. That top one and the bottom one, let me pan down a minute. Top one and the bottom one do not snap on properly. So I think that they will just ping off. So you can see it's curved up here. So I added them here, because I think you're supposed to put one on the collar, but the collar came out really tight. So there's no way with all that padding that I was going to get a snap through that. So I've only put the 4 and I haven't done them all the way up, because I feel, see, that's already come undone. Again, that's going to drive me nuts. So it's really for show, these poppers. If you know what I've done wrong, or if I just need to like really, I don't want to break the snaps. Kind of ran out of the same sort. So it just goes straight down. It is quite a boxy fit, and pockets would be beneficial. So if you're going to make this, think about pockets if you have a fabric like this. But like, that's not going to hold. That one, yeah. So all in in all, I think this is the first time I've really made anything in this colour, this sort of plum colour fabric, because when I did my colours a couple of years ago, it came up with, I think it's on the Cool Winter palette, and so I'm just not used to wearing it, but I quite like it because it's so like fluffy. So this is my most recent make. I'm quite pleased with that. I haven't taken any proper photos, so I'm just showing you here on the vlog. Recommend the pattern. Didn't really follow the instructions that much because obviously it calls for lined and this isn't. So apart from that, you know, it's just like front and back and then the collar, so you can kind of figure that out yourself. But I imagine because I made my raincoat from the I Am Pattern Company, they do have quite good instructions. Let me just show you my other make. So this is my other make, and it's by a German company. It's a cropped trench coat, and it's by a German company called Bavarese. Oh, I'm terrible. I did 1 year of German when I was 13, and that was it. So I will put them on screen because it almost seems like it would be a French name, but they're a German company. They have their patterns in German and in English. Not all of them have been translated. There's a new one just out and you have to wait for the English translation. I bought the English translation. This is from Etsy and I found it while I was scrolling on Pinterest. And this is it. So this is so it has a storm flap. You can have it on one side or both. So I chose to have it on the one side. And then you can have the epaulettes where I put buttonholes in. You didn't have to because it really is kind of just for show, but I thought it would make it look a bit nicer. And that just goes like that. The only thing is I need a pan. So this is where it finishes. I've never shortened it. I usually shorten patterns by about 1 inch at the waist, which I didn't on this one because I felt like that cut off at quite a nice point. If you have seen my detailed video about the trench coat and making it, which if you haven't, I will pop that in the description box below so you can see the construction of, so I don't want to go into too much detail and repeat myself, so you can check that one out there. You'll find that the sleeves have annoyed me because they are too long. So I did a toile and I thought maybe they're a little bit long, and then I made it and I thought no, because I've made at least 2 coats where I've shortened sleeve length before and then they've been like this. And then all jumpers and everything are poking out the end, so I was very wary of shortening it, but it's just a little bit too long. However, when I was on Instagram, you know, doing the scroll, someone had a trench coat and she styled it like cropped like this with the sleeves up slightly, and she had something which I didn't have much memory really of. My granddad, he died like 36 years ago. But I do remember he had his shirts, and it was like an old fashioned thing back then. These are sort of metal elasticated sleeve cuffs or something, I don't know what they're called. And he put them on his shirt to like hold them up. And this woman, she'd linked a product virtually the same on Amazon, I think it was. And she put them on her trench coat, and then she just folded the fabric over, and then they were a nice length. So I think they were only about £5 as well for a pair. So I'm thinking that I might get some and then I'll get more aware of it, because to be honest with you, it is the sleeve length. Like this is fine, but obviously I can't wear them like that. And the moment I have them, but I just feel like they're too big and baggy. Whereas if they were actually, like if I have it cropped, I feel that is fine. So I might actually go and get some of these sleeve cuffs. I don't know, I can't remember what it was called. Anyway, so this is the jacket. It's a cotton fabric that I got from Pound Fabrics, which they're not, it wasn't £1 a metre, but they're relatively cheap. I think it cost me about £30 for all the fabric because I had quite a lot of fabric, and I lined it with a viscose rayon. I had a bit of an issue with the lining popping out the bottom, but I managed to resolve it. And I think this is quite a nice, because I'm 5'3", a full length trench is quite, like a shop bought one, is quite long on me. And then obviously a trench coat, it's just, you know, it doesn't have a hood, it's not a big winter coat, so it doesn't necessarily fit with the kind of clothes that I wear. So I thought this would be a bit more casual, a bit more up to date, but like I said, I need to just sort those things out. So they are my 2 makes, and then I actually bought fabric about a week ago, and I have not really bought fabric for months and months. Actually that fabric for the gilet was probably, and the coat were probably the last fabrics that I bought. So if you've been watching this channel for a while, I did a major declutter a few years ago, and I'm leaning more towards minimalist styles, certainly when it comes to my sewing and supplies and fabric. So I'm not someone who buys loads and loads of fabric and then just stores it and then buys more and more and more. I like to buy it with a purpose now. And so since having my colours done, which I just did on a free app, and you can get them done properly, but you know, I didn't. I just did it for free, and I kind of had a hint of that it was right anyway, that I was a cool winter. So basically I can't wear anything, well, like autumnal colours can't really wear. So anything with like a yellow undertone just makes you feel, or not makes me feel ill, but makes me look like I'm ill. So this is my first one that I've got. So it's a nice burgundy, I think burgundy is like a purpley plummy colour. And these are all from a local shop. It's about half an hour, 20 minutes, half an hour to where I live. And they have a fabric shop which is like rammed from floor to ceiling with curtain fabrics, you know, upholstery things, fancy dress sort of type materials and polyesters and stuff. So, and then they have dressmaking like in between that as well. In the past I've got sucked in and come away when I was first learning to sew, and I'd have all these like printed fabrics, like novelty print almost, and then I was like, what on earth do I do with this? And I bought 1 meter and that's not enough for anything, and then it's like really stiff cotton. Whereas now I'm more intentional, I'll go, so I was like, right, I really want more plains for certain things. So I want to make a sweatshirt. So I got this Ponte Roma, and it said burgundy was this season's colour. I don't know if this classes as burgundy, more of a plummy kind of colour, but it's nice kind of warming winter colour. In the past I have made several sweatshirts, which is the, I'm trying to think, I think it's the simplicity version of the toaster sweater by Sew House 7. They did a collaboration with Sew House 7 and I made it, and I actually wore one of those sweatshirts yesterday, which I made like 4 years ago, so I still have a little bit snug to what it was before, but it still fits. But I realised that the neckline was just a bit wide and a bit sloppy. I don't have any ribbing for this, so on a sweatshirt lately I have used ribbing or cuffing, and it makes it a lot easier for like rolling sleeves up, and it gives a nice neat finish around the neck. So I'm not entirely sure if I'm gonna go with that one because I feel like the neck is a bit wide, or something else. But I've got 2 meters of it, and it's just to make a sort of fairly loose fitting sweatshirt, which I can wear with wide leg jeans and ready for the season. And then I also have, in terms of thicker fabrics for like full winter, and I've realised that I've just folded this inside out, and I thought this was black. So I went to the shop and I said, do you have any needle cord or corduroy in navy, because I've only seen that you've got it in black or dark brown. And she said, no, that's the lighting in the shop, and what I thought was black is actually navy, but it's a very dark navy. I don't know what the, you know, is it the whale, the like how many like ribs there are to the something. I know like the bigger the number, the bigger the, is it the bigger, the higher the number, the more like ribs there are, or is it the higher the number, the thicker they are? I've got a feeling it's, if it's a low whale, there's like thick, so there's not as many ridges. I don't know, ignore me, I probably don't know what I'm talking about. Anyway, I've seen by style like the Logan Shacket, so I wanted a Shacket because I thought, oh, something I can just put, I'm thinking about what I wear normally, and what I can then interject with that, with things I can make, because I'm not really a dress person. I do have a couple of dresses, but I find myself, I'm more of a separates person. That's what I'm drawn to, separates. And in winter time, I would just live in ready to wear jeans, t-shirts, sweatshirts, all that kind of thing. So the gilet that I made, that can easily go over a shirt or a sweatshirt, and that can be a layer up, which I know that I will get a lot of use out of it. So I thought another layer would be a Shacket. So I know I've seen a lot of people make the Logan Shacket by Style Arc, and it doesn't have a button cuff. I think it just looks like it finishes. So I don't know if that would ride up and be annoying. It's just that a lot of the Shackets I've seen have really looked like just a large shirt, not oversized to wear as a jacket. Doesn't really look big enough to be a jacket, whereas the Logan does. I haven't bought it yet, but it did say you needed 2.3 meters, and as I bought this locally, I was able to buy 2.3 meters, because a lot of fabric shops, if they are like lower priced fabric online shops, you have to, like pound fabrics, you have to buy by the metre, you can't buy the half metre. So I would have either had to hopefully skimp and do 2 meters, or you're paying extra to get 3 meters, and then there's a lot of wastage. So that is that. So hopefully I can get that. I might have a look into that and just decide which one, because I've seen quite a few. And Sharon, I think I want to say her channel is just Sharon Sews. I will link her down below. She did a video all about shackets, and I watched that a while ago, so I might just have to renew what I've watched and just double check on what was around, because it's nothing more handy than when someone's done a roundup, because then it just saves me having to look, unless there's a brand new pattern out, which I don't think there are really this year. It's quite handy. Someone's already done that research, just have a look. Then we're on to blouses. Now I have the Avid Seamstress blouse, which I've made, and I wear every week to work. So I have 3 of them in my rotation that I wear to work. And I'm wearing them to work and then washing them and drying them. They are really sort of one of them is really sort of past its peak, really. It's kind of like worn it to death. So I really wanted to update that. So I'm either going to make the Avid Seamstress blouse, or I'm looking into a pattern, because I'm trying not to buy too much stuff. I have the Deer and Doe Melilot shirt, and I made the short sleeve version once, and I didn't quite get the fit. It felt like there was pulling, but since I did a pattern, what was it, tailoring course, it said I had the sway back, it said add an inch in at my centre back, and then sort of like, what do you call it, reduce down to the side seam, so that extra inch goes into the bit where the sway back is. So I'm wondering, when I made it before, perhaps it was pulling because it was going over either rounded back or there wasn't enough fabric to go in covering a sway back. So I will make a toile of that first. But I bought this, I think I only bought 2 meters, because it was £5 a metre, and I should have bought more. Afterwards I was like, oh, I should have got more. But I saw, it was a YouTuber, she's a French woman I think, and she said that this, I don't really like doing trends. I never buy the in thing or wear the in thing, but I thought for once maybe I'll follow some advice. So they said there were a lot of plain colours, fabrics and things coming up, and I do like plains rather than patterns. But they said that it's all about texture. So I thought, well, the Shacket, you've got that sort of needle cord, the nice fabric. The gilet, I've got the padded with the fur on the inside, and then I got this cotton fabric with the nice like raised spots. So I thought over a little vest top or something like that, that could make a quite nice blouse. And I wear usually for work wide leg trousers either in black or navy, and I thought, well, that would just go great. If I have navy trousers, navy blouse with a top, and then I could always put like a gilet or cardigan or jacket or something just to lay that one up. So that one is to be a blouse. And I know some people don't make blouses because I didn't wear them. I don't really wear blouses outside of work, but at work I quite like to dress smart. Even though I don't necessarily need to, I feel more like put together. So my other one is a rayon. So your viscose rayon, look at a bit yellowy for the light, which is in here, with that pink. So again, looking at colour palettes of cool winter, I thought that would go. And that, again, that is going to be a blouse. Probably like, with the Avid Seamstress, it has elasticated cuff. So it's sort of a 3/4 length. So either the Avid Seamstress or the Melilot full length sleeve, which is what the other one will be. I need to just check the pattern measurements and print the pattern off, because I've never made the long sleeve version before. And again, this is to make, these are all going to be using hopefully the same, once I've got decided on a pattern, I'm then going to use it for all of these, because hopefully it will speed things up. I'm not sure if it's my colour palette or not, but I just liked it, and it felt like it was a nice quality, that it's not going to stretch out too crazily when I'm cutting it out. Again, this I thought, although it's got black flecks in it, I probably could wear that with navy trousers, or it could be with the black, but it's just nice, feels a bit more put together. And then this one is a cotton lawn, and this was, I haven't bought as much of this, I think, I'm thinking 1.5 meters, the little trees. This was to make a short sleeved Melilot or some kind of like short sleeve blousey top thing. I didn't want to have, I don't know, I didn't buy too much, so I didn't think I'd want a long sleeve made out of this one. But yeah, some kind of short sleeve blouse. and that's what I plan to make with that one. I couldn't find buttons, I couldn't decide on buttons to go with it, but sometimes, although with the Shacket I did think I'll put snaps on, but after the snaps fiasco with the gilet, I don't think I probably will. I think I might go down the button route, and sometimes when I'm making it, then I'll decide what actually, I mean I could do covered buttons, but I feel like they stick out more. I'm always a bit paranoid about buttons coming undone, so I usually always wear some kind of vest top underneath, especially if I'm at work. But I thought maybe once I'm making it, then I'll decide when looking at it what kind of buttons would go nicely with that one. So as this is a Friday sews video, I thought I'd just pop in a little bit of life at the end. There's probably a reason, one of the big reasons I haven't sewn that much is because I changed my job 2 years ago, and I now work as a teaching assistant in a primary school, and that can bring a lot of stress, and as a result when I come home it's quite exhausting, so I don't always feel motivated and alert enough to kind of sit there and study the sewing pattern and what's going on with that. Life has got in the way a bit, and I think that's okay. There's other people who do as well. I'm never going to just film for the sake of filming. I've had this channel for a number of years now, and I just like to film when the mood suits. So you might see loads of videos from me between now and Christmas, or you may only see like this one and maybe one more. I have no idea. I haven't planned ahead that far. I have a lot going on, so YouTube is not always my priority, but I do miss interacting with everyone on a Friday Sews video, so you might find that I pop up a bit more, but it is sometimes a bit of a struggle to get something filmed and edited and uploaded ready for a Friday. My Juki is still going strong. Anyone who's still watching that video or thinking about getting a new sewing machine and thinking about Juki, I will link that one below, all about when I first got it. But I have been using it a lot. I haven't necessarily always filmed when I've sewn something, but I am still really enjoying it, and I used it to do my makes, and I haven't used any other machine for a long time, so I am more than happy with that. So if you have any questions about my machine, which is, I can't remember, Juki DX7, pop them down in the description box, because description box. This is the Juki DX7. If you have any questions about that machine, if you pop them down in the comments below, I'm thinking of doing a follow-up video answering the questions I've had in the last 2 years all about that machine, because a lot of people are still interested and thinking about when you're upgrading a machine. If you have any questions about that, feel free to pop them down below and I will do my best to answer them. I'm not affiliated or sponsored or anything like that with him, but I just like my machine, and there are probably other brands, but I know it's helpful to get as much information out as possible. I'm not growing out my greys. This is another thing. It's half term this week, and so I try to dye my hair as close as going back to work as possible, because my greys are just coming through so quick. So like every 2 weeks greys are coming through, and I do not want to go completely grey. But yes, they are quite bad, and sometimes, I'll be honest with you, it does put me off filming, because I think, oh, I don't feel like I look my best, but I'm sure that you don't really care whether my hair is grey or it's brown or it's like salt and pepper kind of growing out as it is now. But hopefully I will get that sorted, because we've got staff photos going on our ID badges next week, so I will definitely have it done before next week. The other thing I was thinking, what else do I need to tell you about? Oh yeah, if anyone says about the snaps, I do have the green hand press, but I don't have all the attachments for it. So when I was looking at the snaps, I did just buy the manual ones with the hammer, and I went and bought a hammer. I don't know why I'm miming everything, by the way. Yeah, I just thought with that green, that's the thing, if you have one of those hand presses, you have to buy the attachment for the project and then the item, and I feel like it all adds on to the cost. But this is probably the second time that I've used that size snaps, so it might be something worth getting the attachments for that, and then it's a lot easier to use than faffing around with the hammer, and they might go on a bit better so they actually stick together. I don't think anything else particularly interesting is going on in my life that I want to share with you at the moment, so thank you for watching, and don't forget to check out those videos. I've linked down in the description box below, and I will see you over there.